Deja vu? It may seem like it since we've made the same announcement 3 times in the last 3 months, with this being number 4, but we are lowering our prices again. First, our 30-day all access went from $349 to $299. Next, the 7-day all access pass went from $119 to just $99. And just a few weeks ago, despite our popular 3-day all access pass, it went down to $59 from $69. Next up is the 90-day all access pass, which is now officially dropped down to $749 from being $849, giving you 90 days of selections from your favorite handicapper for under $6 per week. Remember, purchased wager bucks can now be used the same as cash, including on our new lowered price, 3, 7, 30, and 90-day all access packages, allowing you to save every day on every pick you buy.
Welcome, everybody, to WagerTalk Today. I'm Lawrence Pressman. That man is Teddy Covers. We've got Rob Veno, Skee Profit, and Andy Lang on today. Skee and Andy going to talk prop bets, a whole bunch of them. NBA. Andy's also going to look at the UFC. Rob Veno, Philadelphia, Minnesota, and New Orleans, Phoenix. Teddy had an outstanding night for my clients last night, 3-1. I went 2-0 in the daily presidential address. How did you do, my friend?
Not as good as you, unfortunately. I went 1-2 last night, and one of them in particular was pretty frustrating final minute. Turned the difference between a winning night and a losing night. So it wasn't a great night for myself and my clients last night, Prez, unfortunately.
Well, listen, you've been rolling, dude, so it's going to happen. So I showed up late for the show today, guys. I logged on literally 1 second before the show begun, and Dan, Teddy, and Rob were all laughing about how exciting the What Did We Learn segment is going to be. So I don't have a clue what the hell they're going to say. I'm guessing it's going to be about me, but everything's about me. Teddy, what did we learn last night in the wonderful world of sports betting?
Nothing to do with you, my friend, Prez. And
yeah,
I can't say this is something we learned. All right. This is something we're about to learn tonight because the James Harden hype has begun in Philadelphia. All right. And we're talking some serious hype with the Sixers. Sixers taking all kinds of money in the future book right now. And you get it conceptually. Harden and Embiid with a bunch of complementary pieces around them. That's two superstars, a good defensive team, and a team that has the potential to make a deep postseason run. But before we get too heavy into the Harden hype, okay, this is the guy who forced his way out of Oklahoma City, forced his way out of Houston, forced his way out of Brooklyn, has not gotten along with teammates anywhere that he's been. Joel Embiid, the two superstars on this team. Embiid has the single highest usage rate of any player in the NBA this season. All right, they're not adding a role player for a playoff run. They're adding a guy that's going to be the most highest usage player on the team. And of course, Embiid has never played with someone as ball dominant as Harden. Not even close. All right. There's going to be adjustment for Maxey, who has been playing primarily with Embiid and floor spacers. Now he's got to be the floor spacer instead of the ball handler. My point is this. This is not going to be a seamless transition for Philadelphia. The betting market's hyping up the Sixers in a very real way right off the bat. Don't expect this to go quite as smoothly initially. Maybe, again, when you're talking about, is Philadelphia now a championship contender? Absolutely. Did they get something for nothing? Harden for Simmons? Absolutely. Better long term? Absolutely. Short term? Expect some growing pains. That's what I learned-ish last night. Prez, what about you?
Well, I'm going to add to that, Teddy. Only 3 times has a team right before the trade deadline traded for a star and then went on and won the championship. It's only happened 3 times. Can you name the 3?
No.
Rasheed Wallace.
Yeah.
Marc Gasol. Granted, he's not in that zone of star, but he played the 20-plus minutes for the team that traded him.
Yeah, Drexler.
And and Clyde Drexler. That's the three on into Houston. So yes, listen, it's been tried a lot, and you're right. And something about basketball, it's not only the chemistry of the two players together, but the stuff you were talking about, the spacing on the floor, the dish, who's going to get the ball. There's a lot of chemistry that is required for these guys to play well together. But I gotta think that Harden is a little bit different because he just holds the ball so much. I mean, he's going to put up 25, 30 points regardless. But we'll see. It'll be interesting, man. Let's bring in Rob Veno. Rob, anything to add to this topic?
Yeah, I was just trying to think as you guys were talking. The Clyde Drexler move, I think, did result in the 2 Houston titles.
Yeah,
the second
when Michael Jordan was absent, title. Right? So the second title, okay. So at least in one case it did work. I don't know about the other two if they worked or not bringing their team's titles, but I thought that the Drexler one did.
Well, I mean, I can't believe that Marc Gasol was the key to the Raptors winning that title. But hey, maybe they didn't win it without him.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I can't remember if Clyde Drexler was, the key to that Houston run. That's for sure. He did. And Rasheed did, though, too. Rasheed was important at the early stages of his Pistons career. Rob, speaking of NBA, brother, Philadelphia playing Minnesota tonight. Philadelphia. What a perfect segue.
Right.
How are we betting this one?
Yeah, it's, when we were on, Prez, prior to your arrival, Dan was asking about the Philadelphia-Minnesota line. Teddy just talked about the game. Now I'll talk about the game, so we're covering this from all angles. I like the under. When I sent it to you guys as a play, we were looking at 228.5. It has now been bumped to 229 as we speak. But I like it under for a few reasons. First off, I think that Philly's unique as an opponent for Minnesota because they have 2 defensive matchups that work very, very well against 2 of Minnesota's stars. Karl Anthony Towns gets defended by Joel Embiid. That's good for, maybe you don't shut down Karl Anthony Towns, but maybe we control him here. And then Matisse Thybulle works on Anthony Edwards, who, by the way, last night had inexplicably a horrendous game. 31 minutes played, 31 plus, only 3 points in that game, 1 for 11 from the field, 0 for 6 from 3. It would raise a couple concerns here if Anthony Edwards is okay health-wise. He actually didn't play the game before the All-Star break, and then he was involved in that Rising Stars game where he played a few minutes in the first half, then wound up in street clothes for the second half. So we'll see. But I like those defensive matchups to contain some of Minnesota's offensive firepower presented by their big 3. The Sixers' tempo, it's slow. And as you guys have both said, adding James Harden, it probably gets a little bit slower. They're 28th in possessions per game in the NBA. They're 27th in overall pace. Stark contrast from the T-Wolves, who are 3 and 5 in those 2 categories. But I think this game gets played with a few less possessions at a little bit slower pace. That also helps us with the under. I'm going to pile on Teddy's point because I have written here, the Sixers' new lineup, the rotations, Doc has to figure them out. The cohesiveness, is it there right away? You're talking about a new guy walking in and playing point. That could be troublesome for points as well. So when I add it all up, I just feel like Philly's got a couple of elite defenders on Minnesota's elite scorers. The James Harden factor slows the game down even more. Philly's tempo is slow to begin with. I think 229 is probably too high. Let's not forget Minnesota's on a back-to-back. Now, they've been pretty feisty in back-to-backs, but I think this matchup is unique to the under. I'm going to play it that way, under 229.
Yeah, and I wanted to ask you about that back-to-back situation on this game for the T-Wolves tonight. They were certainly tested by Memphis last night, made all the plays down the stretch. Angelo Russell, a huge fourth quarter in that ball game. Does the fact that Minnesota has a game under their belt since the break where Philly doesn't, is that an edge in one side or the other? From a pace standpoint, does Minnesota on the second of back-to-backs matter? Give your thought process on Minnesota playing with no rest and Philly playing with more than a week's worth of rest.
Yeah, and I think the no rest is one thing, Teddy. I think the exertion that you mentioned they had to put forth last night in that short win over Memphis, a game that went right to the wire, certainly could leave them a bit fatigued. I haven't seen anything on the injury report yet, but as I said earlier, I'd worry a little bit about Anthony Edwards here on back-to-backs. Injured before the break, couldn't finish that Rising Stars game, shot lousy last night. Maybe that's another component that will be not as helpful here. Money seems to like Philly, but I think Money has played rested teams for a good portion of the last 6 weeks in NBA action. So maybe that's why we've seen a little push towards Philadelphia. I think it all adds up to a lower scoring game, though, and I'll take my chances under 229.
Rob Veno, everyone. Rob, I've missed you, man. Love having you back on the show. Back into your regular Friday spot. Anything to promote for the clients before we take a look at the Phoenix Suns game?
Yeah, we could promote an NBA 4% best bet that's up and available right now. NBA kind to me last night, 3-0 start to this final stretch of the regular season. So we'll look to maintain that here. There's probably going to be a couple other NBA plays as well. So look for them throughout the day. But right now, 4% best bet up and available, WagerTalk.com.
Rob Veno. Rob, let's look at this Phoenix Suns New Orleans Pelicans game. And I was on the Phoenix Suns last night, -10. I didn't think I was going to get there. And then I got there with spades, doubled the line, 20-point win against OKC. But really a game that was much tighter than the score suggested. Here we have Phoenix -8, back-to-back situation. How do we bet this game?
Yeah, we're kind of picking on the back-to-backs here in this segment, guys. As you mentioned, Prez, this is another one. I think I've got a little situational reason here why I'm playing the Pelicans. And again, let's just update the point spread here. When I sent it to you guys, they were +8. They've now been bet down to +7, so you're getting a little less. But I feel like fading not a team in particular, but an individual player, Devin Booker, is where my mind kind of led me in this one. He's going to have to play the second of back-to-backs as the lead point guard of this team. Obviously, his new role with Chris Paul hurt. Last night, he goes a little over 38 minutes, which was the most of anybody on that team. He had 25 points, 12 assists. Prez, he helped you late because he scored quite a bit late in that game. Couple of big threes. And generally, when you're coming out of the All-Star break, an old rule of thumb, and they have added days of rest to when they start again. It used to be, they'd start like maybe Tuesday. Here they didn't start till Thursday. But guys who travel to the All-Star break, which Devin Booker did, you get that weekend of festivities. He played in the game. He's back on a plane to join his team, plays a game, back on a plane to get home. My main concern here is the last 7 days. How fresh is he? How will he play in a new role in this situation? And if Cam Payne is unavailable again for Phoenix, last night they went to Aaron Holiday as the backup point guard, which was a nice trade. Certainly helps them and protects them a little bit. But I don't know if Booker will be as effective in this particular situation here tonight. New Orleans has plenty of reason to play here, guys. They are a team that's involved in the race for this play-in spot. They've got 23 games left. They acquired C.J. McCollum for a reason, because they're one team that doesn't want to be in the lottery. They want to push toward the playoffs. So I like that mental attitude. They're only a game and a half behind Portland from that 10th slot, which would put them in the play-in game. I expect them to be focused here. I think the matchup works for the Pelicans. From a defensive standpoint, guys, the Suns' offense is really anchored when you examine them in points in the paint. They score quite a bit in the paint. They shoot a high percentage of their shots in the paint. They're not really a three-point shooting team. New Orleans is number 8 in the league defending points in the paint. Since they went to that new big front line with Jackson Hayes, makes them a little bit different. Herbert Jones, Valanciunas, the other two guys there. And then lastly, I'll just say that the Pelicans' offense has been great. They haven't covered a lot of games here. They're 1-4 since McCollum came to this team, but they've shot 50% or better in 6 of their last 8. And one of those 2 where they didn't was a 49.5% effort. I like the way they're playing offense. I think their defense is made for what Phoenix does best. I'll take the points here with New Orleans, what I think will be a focused team against a team on back-to-backs with maybe, potentially, a fatigue star player.
So you make an interesting point there about New Orleans and their hot shooting in recent contests. And yet, even with that good shooting, the Pelicans haven't been winning games and covering point spreads.
Right.
Does that concern you, Rob? And, whenever I see a team that shot 50% from the floor and neither won nor covered, I'm reluctant to back them in their next games. I don't think the shooting's going to be as good. And when you see that over a span, 6 times in 8 games where they're consistently shooting well but not getting the money, does that concern you here? Does that make you want to tap the brakes on New Orleans at all?
Yeah, that's, and when you handicap these guys, we all know you have to handicap both sides of the game. And then you come to your conclusion if it's strong enough to play one side or not. And that is the major concern on the anti-side of New Orleans, right? They, since they acquired McCollum, they're 1-4 against the spread. However, I saw a quote from Willie Green, their head coach, who, by the way, little antidote here, he was an assistant on Phoenix's bench last year. So Willie Green knows quite a bit about Phoenix. I think it will be a game that the team focuses on for him. But to your point, TC, I kind of played the situation and the number at +8. I just thought was a little high. Not betting this thing outright, but I think they can come within those 8 points, which now actually has been reduced down to 7.
Rob Veno, man, great work. Thanks for joining us, brother. I won't be around next Friday, but you'll be back with Steve Merrill and Teddy Covers. Guys, we're going to take a quick break. We got a big show still. We got Skee Profit, Andy Lang, Teddy's big game breakdown. If we do get to 100 likes, we have the daily presidential address, currently on a 12-3 run. Teddy, were you a wrestling fan back in the day? Hulk Hogan, Jimmy Superfly Snuka, Ricky Steamboat, all those guys? No. Yeah, I watched a documentary last night on those guys called 350 Days. They used to fight 350 days a year. And their lifestyle was insane. They would pack 8 to a car, drive from one town to another. They would be 8-balling it the whole way, drunk off their ass. It was really quite an eye-opening documentary. I mean, the pros and cons of being a professional wrestler, or a wrestler, as some of those guys would say. Anyway, worth a look. I enjoyed the show. Had it on while the Phoenix Suns game was on. Guys, let's go. Back in 15 seconds.
Why pay the regular price when you can save money on every purchase with WagerBucks at both WagerTalk and Sports Memo? WagerBucks are now eligible for use on not just daily, 3-day, and 7-day passes, but all long-term and seasonal packages up to 1 full year. There are tons of options available for every budget and size of bettor. From low as $100 gets $110, all the way up to $2,500 gets you $3,000. Save every day on every pick you buy with WagerBucks.
It is time for today's big game breakdown. And let's talk some Big Ten college basketball. For tonight on an NBA heavy show, let's take a look at some college hoops. We talked about Iowa on Monday. We used Iowa in the big game breakdown over Michigan State, and they took care of business with room to spare. Iowa's playing again tonight at Nebraska. Right now, boy, this line was 11.5 last night, was 12.5 this morning when I woke up. We're looking at 13.5 right now. Plenty of Hawkeyes money. And from all indications, Iowa's taking this game very seriously. Even though these two teams played less than 2 weeks ago, was a Hawkeyes blowout. Nebraska after the game was like, we panicked, we didn't play well. Sometimes you worry. Oftentimes you worry about a team like Iowa who doesn't necessarily bring it every game with bigger games on deck. They've got Ohio State coming up and Michigan State, the final two, and just this little trip to Nebraska in between against a team they just annihilated. Yeah, you worry about it. Now, Fran McCaffrey's talking about the mindset for Iowa. Quote, it's a mindset that our team has. It's really great to get hyped for a particular game. That might work for the day. But with this league and how difficult it is, how different each team and atmosphere are, if you don't take a professional approach, you will not be successful. We're kind of in attack mode all the time. It's a positive sign, I would think, you know? And McCaffrey, again, talking about not looking past Nebraska. You know, we know what this league is. This game is just as important as the last two, Ohio State and Michigan State. You know, they can't have the bad quad 4 loss, just like they want to get those quad 1 win. But the quotes coming out of Nebraska are hungry. You know, Hoiberg just got the reprieve. He's going to be back next year. Nebraska just played this team and got bombed by this team. Again, less than 2 weeks ago. Hoiberg wants to play fast. McCaffrey wants to play fast. The last 3 meetings, 98-75, 102-64, 96-72 equals over. The over 7-0 in the Hawkeyes' last 7 on the road against a team with a losing home record. It's 5-1 the last 6 versus a team with a losing straight-up record. And we have 2 squads that are very comfortable pushing tempo. Yeah, we're talking a really high total for a college basketball game. $161.5. The only way to play this one is up and over the number. Expect pace and shooting percentages in Lincoln this evening. And look for Iowa and Nebraska to get up and over the total. There's your big game breakdown, Prez. Back to you.
Teddy, you know, it's funny. We talk about this, at least I talk about this sporadically throughout the years doing this show. Whenever you think an over a line is, oh my God, I can't bet over 161. That's so high. That's literally the exact thought that you need to confirm betting the over. Oh my God, there's a 5. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I know that your theory for betting the NFL, you're like, if you just play the 3 lowest totals every week under and the 3 highest totals every week over, at the end of the year in, year out, you'll make a profit. I don't disagree with that concept. So
yeah, and it works in every sport. It works in every sport, Teddy, because there's always a ceiling and a floor. You know, in hockey, for instance, they don't put a total up under 5. There's only been a few 5s all year. They don't put a total up over 7. There's only been a few 7s all year. So there are these like mental numbers where they just kind of stop. I mean, it's changing. Look, NBA 194.5 used to be like, oh my God, how's it going to go over that? Now they're over that in the first half. You know,
sure.
NFL.
I mean, baseball is the poster child for totals that are in a very specific range. You know, the bottom is 6.5, the top is 11.5. It doesn't matter if it's 2 teams that are scoring 10 points 10 runs a game. It'll still be 11.5. You know, maybe once in a while at Coors you'll get a 12.5 when the wind's blowing out, or at Wrigley. But the basic, you know, that you don't get the really low, you know, anything lower than 6.5 very often, or higher than 11.5 very often. They're very strict parameters for those MLB totals. Not all that, you know, the parameters perhaps aren't as strict in other sports, but conceptually, you're going to find your best value in theory on totals at the margins. You know, the 6.5 that should be 5, or an 11.5 that should be 14.
Yeah. Hey, listen, that's what makes this show so freaking good, is inside of the analysts and the individual game breakdowns. We lay nuggets out there, Teddy. Teddy, before we bring Skee in, G. Burnett writes about the way I pronounce the word year. Every day, somebody mentions the way I pronounce the word year all the time. Why?
What word?
Year. Y-E-A-R. Y-E-A-R.
Oh, okay.
Dude, I'm South African. Then I moved to Canada. I have an accent. What is up with you Americans? You never heard anyone with an accent? Like every single day? You have to point out the way I pronounce the word year? How about garage? Roof? I had lots of water. Lots of words I mispronounce according to you guys. I can go through a whole list. We can write it, put it in the chat room. Who cares? Skee, do I pronounce your name right?
right, 100%. I got a lot of friends from Canada. I hung out with Andrew. I hear him talk. He pronounces words a little different. And my other friend, Jimmy, he can't say Falcons. He says Falcons. So I don't know. Everybody has things they do a little bit different. It's all good.
Dude, I'm not bothered in the slightest, man. Are you kidding? Now they're all doing it in the chat room. I love it. It just creates for interaction. It's wonderful.
But it was interesting, Prez, because you didn't give the roof. When you go to Michigan, you go to roof instead of roof, and you say it the East Coast way, not the Midwest way. Which is interesting because Toronto's Midwest.
Yeah, but look, dude, I'm a South African Jew. That makes me from New York.
Okay, roof.
Like, that's how it works, dude. South African plus Jew equals New Yorker. Anyway,
I guess.
Yeah, there you go, Skee. And yes, Andrew actually has one of those Canadian East Coast accents. People always make fun of Canadians. They're like, "Oh, don't you say a all the time? A this, a that, a this?"
Yeah,
no, we don't. We don't.
I know some guys who
Andrew does, but we don't.
Gotcha.
We also don't say a boot. Like maybe 5% of the population of Canada says a boot. The rest of us say about. Anyway, let's move on. Skee, good to have you, man. It's been a while. Love seeing you. How's life? How things?
Yeah, good to be back with you guys. Everything is well. I enjoyed having a little break from the NBA, but happy to have it back. Yesterday, I always, whenever I come on the show, try to be transparent and say how I did the previous day. Yesterday wasn't good. I came back and went 0-4, and I just got to say, like, a lot of how I handicap the association is recent performance and rest advantage, and we don't have that stuff right now. So, I got to tread lightly on sides and totals. So we'll be discussing props today. And I'm also going to give a shout out to my girl, Ariel Epstein, because every single day, I talk to her and break down these NBA games. We talk size totals, we talk props. So you might see some of her action on today's show too.
Excellent. We had Ariel on the show a couple of weeks ago. She was outstanding. Skee, Phoenix, New Orleans. Rob took apart this game as well. You're going to look at it from a prop perspective. I hand the mic to you.
I'm going to look at it from CJ McCollum. I mean, he's just a walking bucket. His point prop was going between 22.5 or 23.5. He's averaging 28.4 points per game since he's been a Pelican. And, you look at the last 3 seasons he's played against this Phoenix team, he's averaging 25 points. I don't see any reason, I think his prop is just too low. The books haven't adjusted it to where it needs to be yet. And am I nervous that he's playing a good defensive team in Phoenix? No. Since he's been a Pelican, he's played 4 good defensive teams: Dallas, Memphis, Toronto, Miami. He's gone over his point prop in each one of them. So I'm going to keep riding McCollum. If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
So I'm certainly not going to try to talk you out of this one. But tonight, the matchup for McCollum defensively, I would think they're going to put Booker on him. And Booker's a tough matchup for McCollum. McCollum's a little guy. Booker's a big guy. I don't know if he's going to have a whole lot of room to be making shots. He might be more of a distributor this evening. Does that potential matchup concern you here? And is that why this team, the points total for McCollum is as low as it is? Because of the fact that he's going to have Booker D'ing up on him.
Would I be nervous about Booker, defending McCollum? Absolutely not. I don't look at Booker as, that kind of defender. I'll be more nervous if, you have Bridges attached to McCollum. But I think Bridges would be more focused on Ingram in this game. So I think McCollum is going to get his baskets. You have the Suns on the second night of a back-to-back. When your legs get tired, I think defense goes first. So I think he's going to get it regardless.
Yeah, that's a great point, Skee. Orlando, Houston, prop bets in this game, my friend.
Yes. So in this one, it's fairly simple as far as how I look at both of these teams. They're terrible defensively. Rockets, the worst defensive rated team in the league. As far as last 2 weeks, I always look at last 2 weeks. You guys know recent performance. But they're allowing 133.7 points per game. If you want to look at the last 10, it's still 125. As far as the Magic, they're allowing 124.3 points per game. So it's no defense going to be played here. It's just who can we take advantage of? So I'm looking at a guy from each side here. For the Magic side, I'm looking at Franz Wagner. His point prop was 16.5. He averages a little bit over 17 points per game versus bottom 10 defenses. And small forwards, they've been having success versus the Rockets lately. Like I said, last 10 games, I think they're giving up close to 22 points per game to that position. So anytime I get a chance to fade, or play against that Houston Rockets defense, I'm going to try to find a way. And I think Wagner, 16.5 points is the way. On the other side, I think Kevin Porter Jr., KPJ assist over 6.5. He's hit that, or he's gone over that number 10 of his last 12 games. One of the games where he didn't, he only played 11 minutes. And like I mentioned earlier, Magic are bottom 10 defensive rated team. So similar to what I said with CJ, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? KPJ.
So, we've seen some big money come in on the overs on a handful of games. The Pelican Suns over has taken a bunch of money. We've seen the Thunder Pacers over as high as compared to where DK opened last night, it's been a 10-point move to the over. And this game, too, has seen a heavy deluge of over money as low as 227.5 last night. We're seeing 234.5/235 even out there today. Does the over money make you want to play more overs in the game? You're talking about Wagner as being the guy. Would he be the only guy you target here? Is the fact that we're seeing over money come in broader for the two teams make you say, hey, maybe there's more guys I want to target other than just Wagner?
Yeah, if I'm looking at the full game total here, Teddy, I completely agree with the movement. You look at Houston Rockets games and you go one way, you bet over, or you stay out of the game. So there's going to be points to be had all across the board. You can look at Cole Anthony. I just happen to target Wagner because he's had success versus bad defenses, and that's the position that I think Rockets have been, struggling against the most lately. So yes, multiple guys can get it. I think it's an over type game, and I'm gonna stick with my guy on this one, Wagner.
Awesome stuff. Skee Profit, everyone. You can find him at WagerTalk.com. You're on the NBA show. What else you doing, man?
Well, I'll be on with, if you guys are interested, Mr. Rob Veno will be with me on Spotify Green Room. We'll do a show in 30 minutes there. And you guys know I do that.
Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, Skee's frozen, but we're not. That's okay. Skee Profit, everybody. Teddy, before we bring Andy Lang in, a couple of quick things. Number one, I told everybody yesterday that I bought a bunch of platinum. Yeah. And a lot of people were asking me, is it the crypto coin platinum? I live in the crypto world. I don't buy altcoins like that, but it got me thinking, it's like anything you buy. Teddy, I'm buying stock. Is it the crypto coin called stock? Teddy, I had a coffee this morning. Was it a crypto coin called coffee? No. I bought actual platinum, like actual physical platinum. Just wanted to mention that. And as well, Teddy, Sid Farrell, one of our listeners, writes, this guy Prez has an insane personality, kind of an attention whore, but we love him. Well, I appreciate you loving me, but what I wanted to mention is, when you see a man with a microphone, it's called a syllogism. A plus B equals C. Man with mic is an attention whore. That's a syllogism. I would like anyone to point out to me who chooses to sit on a mic all day that isn't an attention whore. Howard Stern. I'm going to compare myself to the people I deserve to compare myself to. Jim Rome, Rush Limbaugh, Mad Dog. We're all attention whores. I love it. I just happen to be the cheapest damn attention whore out there. I'm the dollar in the back of your car attention whore. But hey, what can I tell you? Andy Lang! Damn, I love you, bro. That's good. Andy's not an attention whore. He's going to do this show from start to finish in silence.
Well, I was going to say hi. It's nice to see you, but you were kind of covering that by yourself. You literally just had an entire conversation to yourself. So I didn't have a lot
Does
to
it on air
add.
all the time, dude. It's like I'm not even here.
That's what attention whores do.
Yep.
Well aware.
We'll enjoy you being gone next week, Prez.
Teddy, you know what? You handle Andy then. I'll just sit here
Hi,
and
Andy.
stare at my biceps.
What's up, Teddy?
So how'd you do post All-Star break last night? Did you have a good night, a bad night?
Yeah, good night.
A little recap of what happened. I got my butt. Well, I didn't get my butt kicked, but I didn't have a good night last night myself.
Yeah, we had 8 props up, and it's kind of one of those. Do you dip your toes in the water, or do you do a cannonball coming out of the All-Star break? So we went with 8 of them, went 5 and 3, so we're up 4 units. Very, very happy with that. Had some really, really great reads, and then a couple stinkers, but never going to complain about a winning night, especially when you can bag 4 units. So feeling great. Feel like we had a good read on the games last night, and I feel the same way tonight. We got a 5% play up at WagerTalk. That's how good we feel.
Nice.
So I like complaining off winning nights. I do it all the time. It's
Well, Teddy,
even when you win every game, you're mad you didn't play another one that was on your short list that won too. So it doesn't matter. That's the nature of our business. It's constantly self-critical. Speaking of self-critical, let's talk about Kyle Lowry for the Miami Heat, a guy who rips himself and a guy who's been dealing at times this year. He was away from the team for an extended stretch, dealing with mental health issues. Lowry and the Heat are facing the New York Knickerbockers at Madison Square Garden this evening. What are we going to do with Kyle Lowry in Miami?
Well, I'm going to look to play an under here on his points, rebounds, and assists. The number I'm looking at is 23.5. And what we're seeing with Miami, I mean, this is great for Miami. They're healthy. They're getting production from just about everybody. Jimmy Butler is in there. Bam is in there. And sometimes there's just not enough stats to go around. And Lowry just is not getting over his totals recently. Since he came back, he's played in 7 games. He's only gone over that total twice, and once was a double overtime game. So, you can't depend on that. And besides that game that went to double overtime, he hasn't attempted over 10 shots in any game. So they're not looking to him to be a scorer, and he only has double digits rebounding once and double digits assists once since returning, and those were in the same games. So I'm just looking at Butler being a little bit more the focal point as far as starting the offense. Bam has been fantastic. And then you add in some of these guys that are hitting 3-pointers, and sometimes there's just not enough stats. And Lowry has kind of been the benefactor or the unbenefactor of this production. So I'm going to keep riding with Lowry under 23.5 until he demonstrates that he's a big part of the offense.
Oh, thanks,
Teddy,
Lawrence.
I said handle the
normally
segment.
When Lawrence texts me right before I'm about to talk,
I'm not an attention whore.
Let me talk. But instead, he texts me and interrupts me to go, "You keep going." Nice.
Well, you know what, Teddy?
That's exactly
you
what
can
I
roll
need to
your
see
eyes
right
till you're blue in the
that.
face.
You just sit down.
I
sit
said
down
to you at the
it's okay.
start, handle this segment because
what
you
you
were
said,
mocking
and
me
then
for being an
You
attention
typed
whore.
in to make me
So
think that
handle
there was
it.
something that you wanted to say. It's going into the segment. Let's not argue. Andy, I do want to ask, in terms of the Kemba Walker sitting for the Knicks, is that an impact here with Lowry under? Does the fact that Walker is not going to play, does it affect your handicap at all?
No, not really. I don't know if Kemba is affecting anybody's handicapping at this point, whether he plays, whether he doesn't play. I feel really bad for Kemba Walker. I feel like this injury is we're seeing kind of the last of his days. So it's a bummer to watch, but no, I'm not taking Kemba into this equation.
Jalen Suggs is another guy that you've targeted for today. Talk to me about what we want to do with Jalen Suggs and why we want to do it.
Well, I'm liking what I'm seeing from Suggs, and the points, rebounds, and assists is at 24.5. Seems pretty low. We're going to first off start off with the Rockets, like Skee had talked about earlier. They're bad. They give up a lot of points, and they're particularly bad against his position. They give up 34 points, rebounds, and assists a game to shooting guards. I love the minutes the Magic are starting to give him. They're really believing in him. He's had 29 or more minutes in 11 out of 14 games. One of the games he went under, he left after only playing 7 minutes. He's gone over this total of 24 and a half in 2 of his last 3 games before the break, and he took 14 or more shots in all 3 games. I think we're seeing a nice projection to the uptrend on Jalen Suggs, and when you take that into consideration, considering they're playing Houston, this is an over for me tonight.
We have a UFC fight on Saturday night to talk about right here in Las Vegas. Islam Makhachev is someone that you have targeted. What are we going to do with him?
Well, last time I was on it, we gave out a winner on UFC, so let's make it 2-0. So this is a short notice fight. Islam's opponent dropped out, and the infamous Bobby Green jumped in on short notice. This is a Bobby Green who fought just 2 weeks ago in a win, and he jumped in, kind of saved the main event. And Bobby Green is a fan favorite. He's beloved. He's awesome on the mic. His fighting style is fascinating to watch. He keeps his hands at his side and a lot of ducking and moving. And Dan, I don't know if we have that graphic. So this tells you how hilarious Bobby Green is. This is his photo of when he made his pro debut. Bobby Green at age 22. Look at what he put his fighting style as. Hood. This is a professional fighter that went into his debut and says his fighting style is hood. They've now kind of they've used that now, and now it's freestyle fighting. So he's great. And unfortunately, this is a terrible matchup for him. Makhachev is one of the best grapplers in the world, if not the best. And Bobby Green is going to get taken down. There's a reason why Makhachev is minus 900 to win the fight. And Makhachev has subbed his last 3 fighters, and he's probably going to do it again to Bobby Green. Makhachev is to the point now where when he grapples guys and wrestles them to the ground, he not only gets them on the ground, he takes them to his corner where his coaches can coach him through the cage. And his coach is one of the GOATs, Habib. So he's so good at grappling, he can get his opponents on the ground, get them to his corner where he's getting coached by one of the best fighters that's ever lived. And this is just going to be a really, really tough matchup for Bobby Green, almost impossible. The only way Green has any chance of winning is if he flash knockout in the first round. But as soon as Makhachev gets Bobby Green on the ground, it's over. And I'm guessing he's going to go for the sub. This is going to be a feather in the cap for Makhachev because Bobby Green has never been submitted in the UFC. So it's going to be a nice little trophy for him. But this fight may not get out of the first round without a submission.
Andy Lang. Andy, that name, Makhachev, you said it a lot. That's a solid name, man. I like how it rolls off the tongue. What kind of milkshake do you want? I want a Makhachev, please. Anyway.
God bless you.
Thanks, Teddy. Teddy, I love you. I left for a minute.
Makhachev.
Came back. Feel good. Oh.
He's fighting Gesundheit. He's fighting Gesundheit next week.
Andy, every time you're on the show, all hell breaks loose. What's up with that?
I don't know. I hope all hell breaks loose on the 5% play tonight. How about that segue to promote myself? I'm a promotion whore. I got a 5% up at WagerTalk.com. Go grab it now. We were 5-3 last night, and we've hit 60% on best bets in 2022 in the NBA.
Nice. Awesome stuff. Guys, we made it to 100 likes. More than that. Thank you very much. It's time for the daily presidential address. All right, guys, we won both our bets in this video yesterday, and this video play-wise is now on a 12-3 run. I got 2 NHL bets for you tonight, but before we get into that, some business to take care of. I am polarizing. You hate me or you love me, and I like it that way. So for the people who hate on me, Steve Merrill will be hosting Wager Talk Today next week. For the people who love on me, I'll be back the week after. Thank you. Will be great, though. We got a good lineup for next week, so make sure to stick with us. Wager Talk Today. You get us at our YouTube channel, Wager Talk TV. I'm absolutely rolling right now, guys. I've won 4 of my last 5 days, and the day that I lost, Monday, I lost half a unit. I'm on a 14-5 basketball run, a 10-4 college basketball run, a 7-3 NBA run, a 7-3 NHL run. I'm just in the zone, and I got a few plays tonight, 1 NBA, 1 college hoops, and 1 NHL bet. You can get them at WagerTalk.com. As for your free plays tonight, I'm going to the unders here, guys. The Anaheim Ducks are playing the LA Kings. The total is 5.5. I think we're going to see a low-scoring game. Take under the total. And Vegas and Arizona, the total in this game is 6. Take under the total. That's it for me. There'll be no presidential addresses until I am back. Take care of yourselves. Have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. I'm eating a mocha chop for lunch. Teddy, I love you, man. Take us home.
So I got to ask you, Lawrence, no, before you leave, stick around for a second, because so far in 2022, you've been on a ski vacation in Montana. You've been to Mexico, and then you've been to Florida. And where are you going now? You didn't go to Florida.
No. So thank you for asking, Teddy. I've been to Punta since December. I've been to Punta Cana twice, Dominican. I've been to Florida once. I've been to Vegas once, and I've been to Montana once. Now, next week I'm off to Florida. Come back for a week. The week after I'm off to Vegas. See you. Come back for a week, and the week after that I'm off to Aspen. Then I'm here for the rest of the summer, minus maybe a trip to Italy, somewhere in the middle.
Yeah, I'll take the over on the rest of the summer. And I'll take the over on Prez vacations. Nice work, buddy. Enjoy. Meanwhile, we'll be back on Wager Talk Today on Monday. Myself and Steve Merrill will break down all the world of sports and sports betting for you. Same time as always, 9 a.m. Pacific, noon for you back east. Between now and Monday, enjoy the games and good luck.
Would you like to bet $20 and win $100 at BetMGM regardless of your wager's outcome and get $100 in free wager bucks? Just go to wt.buzz/MGM for more details and find out if you're eligible for this amazing offer.